I want to start this video by pointing out this article from Looper. Pedro Pascal has Gina Carano's back amid controversy. Gina has been active on Twitter, regardless of whether or not you like what she was posting. I believe it wasn't as political as most people have attributed it. It's that she's just been poking and making fun of the radical, not snarky, poisonous cultist people on Twitter. Let's just keep it at that. And she and he, Pedro Pascal, regardless of whether or not I agree with his life, because he came out and said that all Trump supporters are literal Nazis. That's just drawing that's ridiculous. You're wrong. You're dumb. You're stupid for doing that. But when Pedro Pascal came out and did this, it's like, hey, congratulations, Pedro. Good job on supporting somebody you might disagree vehemently behind the scenes about their politics, but coming out and saying, hey, you on Twitter have the right to post whatever it is that you post. This was back in November 24th of 2020, about 3 months ago to the time of this posting, to this video. Well, recently, Gina Carano has been fired from Lucasfilm from The Mandalorian. She had a spin-off show. Boom, that's gone. Mandalorian, boom, she's done. Her agency, dropped. All of this because of... she's been active on Twitter for the last 5 months, I believe. And that's really been... and you get to see some transitions within Lucasfilms of any and all Mandalorian posters that had Cara Dune, the character Gina Carano was playing. All of the characters of Cara Dune on posters were being pushed aside. So they were planning this for months. This wasn't just a one-time deal. They were planning this for months. And whenever she posted this one thing on Twitter, it was a really good example of like, okay, this is a good time to transition her out. She's fired. Let's get rid of her, excommunicate, and then we can continue on with the business. I don't think that Disney, Lucasfilm, thought that there would be this much backlash, this much support, this much going for Gina Carano, and especially of Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro being a co-founder of the Daily Wire with Jeremy Boring, the God King Jeremy Boring. That's an inside joke within the Daily Wire community with Backstages. I highly recommend the Backstages with the Daily Wire. But Ben Shapiro picking up Gina Carano to produce and star in her own film. I might not like what she will produce, but I will want to see her succeed because there's no reason for me to want her to fail. The staunch difference of what's happening in today's culture right now is that the majority of people who are so outspoken in cancel culture are also very cancerous. Cancel culture versus canceling a subscription. What is the difference? It is so subtle, but once you understand the subtlety behind it, between the two, at least from how I understand it, it really is no question as to which side of the aisle that you may align. I would say that 99% of people don't care about cancel culture, but we need to understand cancel culture because the majority of poisonous, brainwashed people on Twitter specifically will go after you for a post that you made and will try to shut you down because of it. The difference between cancel culture, like a boycott versus a boycott. Actually, a cancel culture is different than a boycott. If I choose not to opt into something, I have 24 hours in the day of what I'm going to choose to do, what I want to do with it. I also have a set amount of money that I have right now. I can get more money. I can also lose that money. But right now, I have certain resources within my disposal that I am going to choose to do with. If I am subscribed to a YouTube channel and I don't want to listen to their content anymore, I'm going to unsubscribe. How is that canceling somebody? It's not canceling. I'm moving away. I'm going to go do something else. Cancel culture is, I'm not going to unsubscribe to you only. I'm also going to tell other people, you're dumb, you're stupid. I'm going to lie about you. I'm going to try to find a way that you should not exist at all on the internet. There's people with whom I disagree vehemently on the internet. Wow, like all of us. Just because I disagree with them doesn't mean they don't have a right to speak. It doesn't mean they are guaranteed views. They are not guaranteed subscriptions. How you communicate, how your ability to market, your ability to communicate with other people, those are things that are just a few factors in which why some people are more successful, able to have a larger. Somebody's backing up in my parking lot. Beep beep beep. Those are there are so many factors in. That makes the difference between those who succeed and those who fail, or those who have 100,000 viewers versus those who have only 10. The thing is that regardless of how many viewers you have, cancel culture is about the destruction of life, while you choosing what you want to create, focus on where you want to divert your attention, your resources, your time, that you're creating something. If I'm going to be watching a YouTuber, well, I'm going to partake in what they are doing. Versus if I don't want to do that anymore, I unsubscribe and I take my time and do something else with it. But instead of continuing to find a way to attack the person, instead of trying to find a way to degrade the person, instead of trying to remove their legs from themselves, remove their arms and legs so they can't fight. That's the difference. If you really want to say about politics versus like why is cancel culture okay with politics, just to like this would probably be my only little political thing, but people that have power over you, if I say no to them, they can still say yes to me, and it's like, I don't want to do that. Well, no, you have to. That one dynamic, cancel culture, is different versus the free market. Versus you just, hey, I want to go do something. Do I have the right to do that? If the answer is no, someone has power over you that you have to do a certain thing. Parenting is the same thing, but once you get to a certain age where you have a responsibility over the actions that you take, that is where those lines start being removed of, you now have the freedom to do what you will. So, and that probably gets into a big, large philosophical debate and discussion, so I'm just going to move on from there. Let's get back with Gina Carano. So everything that I just said about the philosophy and politics and stuff, I might be incredibly wrong about that, so take it with a grain of salt. With Gina Carano, Pedro Pascal, everybody now knows, or what I mean by that is that she has gone viral. This story has gone viral. It has gone around the world. It's the shot that was heard around the world when it comes to entertainment, especially within the United States. Gina Carano was fired because of a double standard, where Pedro Pascal was posting even worse things, specifically saying that if you're in America, you're a bad person. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a Nazi. It's versus what Gina Carano was doing was poking at people. Hey, I'm going to change my Twitter pronoun bio to beep boop bop. While there's a lot of people out there with a lot of those cultists that want to push what their pronouns are, because the essence of pronouns, I don't know if anybody actually knows this, and this is me of just poking fun at cultists, not actually just saying to anybody out there. Pronouns are third person, meaning if somebody's having a conversation with you, 9 out of 10 times they will not be using your pronoun, because pronouns are usually referring somebody of the third person, somebody who is not there, and you're referring to a person that is not in the vicinity. For example, did you know his? Well, who's his? Let's just go with Rich Lowry at the very top. Rich Lowry, or Kyle Smith. Kyle Smith is the guy at the very top right here. Kyle Smith was talking about Gina Carano was canceled by the dark side of double standards. He's not part of he is not part of the conversation. He is not here. I cannot address him directly. He is an indirect object, an indirect person in which I am referring to, so pronouns don't matter at one iota. Unless you're talking about somebody else, even then, I'm going to say either his or her based off of pretty much how you look. So, oh, you're so bigoted. Well, join the club, because apparently everyone's a bigot. Everyone's a bigot. Some come join the crowd. When you call everybody a bigot, bigotry doesn't matter anymore. When you call everybody a Nazi, Nazi doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. Oh my gosh, I'm a hateful person. Okay, moving on. I don't care anymore. You know why? Because so many people have called me these things. It's funny. It really is. It's like, oh, you had better things to do with your life, but you're spending time telling me something that literally is nonsensical anymore. Thank you very much for wasting your time so you didn't do it to other people. I'm grateful for that. Wow, change of mindset, change of gratitude. If I have gratitude about what's going on in the world instead of being pissed off and antsy, it's like, like I am technically being pissy about all the things that are wrongfully happening. But the long term, you have to be focusing on what you're creating, focusing on what you're wanting to produce. Just because you poke a flaw at something doesn't make it a good thing. Poking flaw at something so you can point out what's bad, so we knowing what is good, so we can go towards the good. Stop doing this bad thing so we can go towards the good. That's what's important. And I might even be wrong on that one. Who knows? I'm going down a rabbit trail that there's no breaks to this thought trail. So Gina Carano is canceled by the dark side of the double standards of her being fired because on Twitter she was posting some political stuff, specifically poking flaws of the SJW cultist left, and Pedro Pascal was not fired. That's the issue. There's a double standard. They wanted to get her away because of her being an outspoken quote-unquote conservative. She, I don't think, is an actual conservative. I think she might be a centrist of some sort. She's not necessarily biased, I would say. She's just speaking truth to power. Hey, everybody, if we stand up, the game that the elitists are playing will not have any effect anymore. The only way you can really have an issue with that is if you think that the elitists are you. That's the big issue. Like, that really says more about you than it does of the quote. And let's go with this next one. Fox News. The other one here was the New York Post. And New York Post, is it New York Times or something? I don't know. I think the New York Times is the one that I'm having an issue with. But this article, yes, it's accurate. Mandalorian fans baffled after Gina Carano was fired but Pedro Pascal wasn't. Clear hypocrisy at Lucasfilm with Fox News for a day ago. Here, that's a very revealing. Mandalorian fans with the New York Post. Fans raised Pedro Pascal Nazi tweets amid Gina Carano firing. Dumb Holocaust reference plus misleading image didn't get Pedro Pascal fired. Meaning in, I believe, 2018, Pedro Pascal posted a tweet. Oh, Kyle Smith. Man, this guy is just on the ball. Good job with the National Review. Wait, is it Kyle Smith, the one I'm thinking about? Yeah, Kyle Smith. Man, he writes for everyone, apparently. The Holocaust reference of there was a Palestinian picture showing people in cages that was released in 2010 under the Obama presidency, but Pedro Pascal took that image, regardless of whether or not he knew about it, took that image and then said that this is 2018 happening at the border. So it was a misleading image. Also, the dumb Holocaust reference of any and all people are the Nazis if you voted for Trump. So, kind of funny. Backlash as Pedro Pascal keeps Mandalorian job after Gina Carano firing despite Nazi comments. And this was from the Metro. Metro. And which one was this one? Stanford Arts Review. That's weird. Pedro Pascal under fire for Nazi tweet after Gina Carano firing from The Mandalorian Season 3. Oh, Monster and critics. Pedro Pascal's controversial social media posts under fire after Gina Carano canceled from Lucasfilm. And that was the last, or at least there's a lot more that we could go into. We could go from article to article to article to article, but it keeps going. I'm really grateful that what's happening right now is Pedro Pascal is having the spotlight shown upon him. I think he's so entrenched in whatever he says to be correct about Orange Man bad, which doesn't mean you can't have criticism about him. There's plenty of criticisms. Ted Cruz, one who might say, like, oh, he's a Republican, so therefore he should be, or he's establishment. That's, of course, why he would be against or for this guy, against Trump. Regardless, he correctly pointed out that Donald Trump has not, in his 4 years, did anything related to the big tech issues of the amount of power that Facebook has, the amount of power that Twitter has, the amount of power that Google and YouTube, well, pretty much are the same, have over other people, that all they have to do is click one button. 600,000 people will not have access to a video until about a month later, and then they can manipulate the conversation. They can manipulate how we what we are to believe, because when a post is revealed of Hunter Biden, for example, boom, whether or not you said Hunter Biden, there's algorithms behind the scenes that are listening to my voice and words that it is trying to listen to, that certain keywords can demonetize and promote my channel. Some might squash the video, and other times it might raise the video. There are so many things that are happening behind the scenes that it's like, why don't you create your own YouTube video, YouTube platform? I still believe in that, even though a lot of, let's just say, conservatives, a lot of conservatives disagree with that. Oh, no. I want you to list a 24-hour schedule of everything that you have done today. If you had time that you were watching some film, if you were watching a TV series, if you were just soaking in the bathtub, or watching the paint dry on the wall, or going out fishing, doesn't matter. You have time that you could be doing something. You could start pushing the needle towards a certain direction of a new YouTube platform to being built. What are you doing about it? How are you doing about it? Like Odyssey is a great example. Odyssey is a backup to YouTube. Odyssey was created because somebody had an idea for it and then started getting the ball going. That's the whole point. Someone can have the idea to go out there and create their own thing. I understand 99 out of 100 people are probably going to fail, but it's that one person that's able to succeed, that's able to rise above and actually create the thing. The majority of people will fail. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. The majority of people may be best served as someone who serves another company, rather than trying to create your own company. It doesn't mean that it can't happen one way or the other. Maybe you want to just be an independent contractor, and it gives you the freedom and liberty, and that's what you might value more than the income or money. But again, the responsibility that if you don't make if it's so on and so forth. But I'm so grateful right now that what's happening with Pedro Pascal, the spotlight is shining on him. I don't care what you post. One great quote that was from Michael Jordan, not Michael B. Jordan, the actor, but Michael Jordan, the basketball player, when he was playing basketball with Bulls. I think it was during his retirement. He was doing a retirement speech at a podium, and one thing that he said, I might have the place wrong, but the quote is correct, is, I'm gonna paraphrase it. I'm trying to remember because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't bash Republican. No. I didn't get political because Republicans buy Jordans too. They buy shoes too. Michael Jordan never got political because he knew that the other side of the political aisle, he was a Democrat. That never mattered to me. I didn't care about that. I don't care about that. Pedro Pascal, regardless of whether or not I agree with his Twitter things, I would prefer that he stays silent. In my personal preference, I want all actors and actresses to stay silent. Don't get political. You can be political behind the scenes. You can be political with private messages. I just don't want to see it because I don't care. I want to see the entertainment aspect. If you want to go and support Black Lives Matter, in all honesty, I kind of don't care. Well, to some degree I actually do, but because they rioted and destroyed billions of dollars worth of property damage, burnt down black-owned neighborhoods and businesses, and then a bunch of black people got killed and harmed for needless issues of, police brutality. Well, I wonder why police brutality happens when you keep perpetrating police brutality. I'm going to go out and riot today. The police are stopping me? They're Nazis. They're racists. You mean stopping you from burning things down? If anything, they actually held back quite a bit because it was politically motivated, politically charged, and it's like if they really did their job, it would look a lot worse than it did. Yeah, and a lot of the district attorneys actually let like hundreds of Antifa members who were riling the Black Lives Matter members to go out there and pillage and plunder and riot and burn and loot and stuff. They let them go. No charges. So the DA were actually being paid, I believe, by Soros, but you know what? That's just one man's opinion. So, again, last thing, Pedro Pascal, really grateful that what's happening with him is that it's just showing a light about what's happening in entertainment. Disney, Lucasfilm, down to Gina Carano. Gina Carano had a very promising outlook with her career. They were pushing her aside, and they were planning on getting rid of her over the last few months when she posted that one tweet about how the Jews were able to be victims of being rounded up by the government is because the people around them were beating them, were saying that they're not a person, they're not a human, they don't deserve rights, so we can kill them in the streets. That's why the government was able to come in and do what they did. That's why her being fired because of that one post is so it mirrors everything true about which side of the political aisle right now Nazis actually exist. The Nationalist Socialist Party got rid of people who they didn't want in their groups. Okay, the modern day right now is an issue between the establishment and those who speak truth to power. It has nothing to do with left or right, which again is one of the reasons why I probably shouldn't even mention National Socialist Party. Right now, it's those who speak truth to power. Hey guys, maybe we shouldn't mutilate kids' genitals because they think that they're actually a boy or a girl. Why don't we wait until they're 18 for them to decide what they want to do with their own body? Sometimes it might be too late, but at the same time, what if they made a mistake? How many people came out about that? And if I speak about that, then I must be a transphobe for wanting to take care of the individual so they do not make a mistake that they will regret for the rest of their life. But what if one person wants to do it? Well, what about the 10 that regretted doing it? Well, let's care about the one person, regret and not even acknowledge that one. It doesn't matter of what I care about, of what you do with your life. I care about why are we doing it to children. It's like you want children to do a certain thing. They have the agency to choose themselves what they want to do with their body. But they do not have the agency at some time to even differentiate between what's good and bad. They really are short-term memory. If you want them to have agency, fine. I don't think you'll like the consequences of that. And if you really want to go down with agency, are you going to allow people to choose what they will? And are you going to get that brings up a whole slew of issues, whole different topic and conversation entirely. But I really am against children being harmed. If you want to be an 18-year-old and you want to shoot your leg, it's like, I kind of don't care. I'm sorry that that's the way that you think and feel. If there's some way, that's a bad thing to happen. You might not be right in the head. You might feel like you're harmed, and you're trying to find a way to explore pain so you can mask the pain that's inside of you. I've been there. I've seen lots of people. I've had conversations with people. It's like, you know what? I cut myself because of this. I did pills because of this. I didn't know how to deal with it. So for me personally, I did something really stupid when in the past. And it may haunt me later on in life. That I did to myself, and it's very unfortunate. I wasn't able to communicate. I wasn't able to speak out when I was younger, when I was in elementary school. So I hit my head on tables because that was the one thing that people actually responded to me with. I didn't know how to talk when I was in elementary school. The one way that I did it once, because I don't know, my brain, like, I just hit my head on a table. My brain, my head bounced back. Everybody around was laughing at it. They were children. They didn't know what was going on. I did it without any other adults around. And I stopped when I hit a wall that didn't bounce back. That's when I stopped. I did it for more than I should have. Guess what? My life may change later on in life, and it's a thing that I'm going to have to regret for the rest of my life. Just because I have a feeling when I'm a child that I think it's correct doesn't mean that I have the agency of what it is that I do is correct, going to help me in the long run, or it's going to help me because it's good. There is a major issue right now, and Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano, what's happening with Lucasfilm and Disney, is all a representation of how the momentum will be changing here on out. It will get worse because when Disney loses its grip on power, it will push things that it shouldn't. When Facebook loses its power, when Google starts losing its power, it will start clamping down on what it does control, and it will revamp and it'll try to convince you that it has more power than it does. It's what you're seeing with the Joe Biden presidency, with having 24/7 soldiers around his office. How I don't believe that he actually got the 80 million votes that he did with with the hundreds of people, not hundreds of thousands of people, but literally dozens. Let's go with dozens, because that was way too generous. Dozens of people that were at his speaking events, not his rallies. It's crazy to think that he got 80 million votes. It really does seem a bit crazy that he got 80 million votes, more votes than Barack Obama and Donald Trump. That's crazy because 74 million people in America voted for Donald Trump, and he got more Latino votes, more Hispanic, more minority votes than any other Republican for the last 40, 50, 60 years. It doesn't make any sense to me. Beltweather states, 18 out of the 19 or 17 out of the 18 all went to Donald Trump, and those who win those usually wins. But Joe Biden only got one of them. It doesn't make any sense to me. None of this entire election makes any sense to me. I believe that he's an illegitimate president. But again, you'll start seeing people clamping down on power, and usually the people that just go along with it, you'll see them accept things because it's very uncomfortable. It goes back to those basic primal needs. Social status, because I don't want to feel unaccepted, regardless of whether or not the relationship that I have is either beneficial or poisonous. It's one of the reasons why you see abuse victims stay in abusive relationships, because they don't want to remove themselves from a connection. I know it sounds like they're stupid. It's not stupid. It's a primal need their nervous system is telling their brain. It's like, hey, we need to, it's the same thing with men when they say, like, I want to have sex and they get a boner. It has nothing to do with whether or not they actually go and do the sexual act. It's called rape. It's like, I want to have sex. Let's have sex. But just like there's the signal of like this impulse. It's strong impulses when you're, when you get to peak pain, when you get to those peak extreme moments, from what I've heard from David Snyder, an NLP, a neuro-linguistic programmer that I highly recommend any and all people to go and check out, is that he says that when you hit those peaks, those 10 out of 10 peak experiences, your brain drops, your butt puckers up, and you revert back to pre-programmed conditioning, pre-programmed unconscious conditioning. So it's you do whatever unconsciously feels good. It doesn't mean that you actually do what feels good. Meaning that you will have to do, like, I don't want to be in this relationship, but I don't want to be alone. And being alone is worse than somebody who's just pissy at me every single day, who's saying that I'm a stupid effing head or whatever. It's like, or an asshat. I'd rather be in a relationship than not being one in one, because I know it's more terrifying to not be in a relationship. And then that's one of the reasons why people just can't get out of these moments. But this is a great moment where anybody who actually wants to get out, who is desiring to get out of the, not corporate structure, but the elitist structure, the cultist structure. If you want to get out of that, there's people who will have your back. You need to make yourself known. You need to get yourself out there. You need to connect with Gina Carano and say, like, I would also like to get out. Will you help me with that? I'm certain she would. All you have to do is drop a line, give her a message, and I'm certain she'll contact you back. And if not, boom, you tried, try something else. Try again, try something else. There is such a difference of where culture will be moving. It's amazing. This is a great thing that Pedro Pascal has been called out. But it's not just Pedro Pascal. What if they both got fired? This wouldn't be an issue at all. It would be almost a non-story when it comes to it being a cultural issue rather than a Disney issue. If Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano were both fired, guess what would happen? Well, they were both political, they were both fired, so The Mandalorian would have to change. Boom. That's it. Like, oh, where's The Mandalorian going to go? The conversation would be about The Mandalorian and Disney rather than entertainment and culture as a whole, rather regardless of any political things probably being brought in, or at least to the degree that it has been. This is crazy. So that's it. That's all I got. So thank you very much for being a part of this. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below, because I do want to hear from you. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button, because that would greatly help this channel out. And more importantly, I will see you next time. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, because those are always... It's always nice to have a good day, so I wish you have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day, dang it. I'm just like shake the fist at you. You better. So, thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you next time. Beep.